Part 81. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 802. Old Mrs. Cheng turned over the second page and was about to read the third page. Chen Ling stood up suddenly and held old Mrs. Cheng's hand. "Grandpa, you have been reading for a long time and your mouth must be dry. You go and drink some tea. I'm feeling a little anxious, so I need to go to the toilet." After saying that, Chen Ling rushed out of the living room as if running away. The family looked at each other. Old Mrs. Cheng sighed, took off his reading glasses and closed the book. Dr. Ken, who had been sitting in the corner observing Chen Ling, said, "I think everyone is looking in the wrong direction, these are not special things." Nolan cleared his throat and asked, "Ken, could the key be related to our H-Rangers?" Dr. Ken shook his head, "I don't think it's possible, but you can try." Chen Ling disappeared for a long time before turning back to the living room. "As soon as I entered the living room, a strong wind came to me." Chen Ling's body reacted subconsciously. He stepped back with his hind legs and tilted his body slightly, avoiding Nolan's knife. She grabbed Nolan's finger with one hand, twisted it hard in the opposite direction, hit her elbow with her right hand, bent her right leg, and hit Nolan's ribs hard. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts," Nolan shouted in succession. "Captain, stop. Your finger is about to be broken." Chen Ling glanced sideways at Nolan and asked coldly, "What? Is your skin itchy?" No, no, hey, Captain, let go first." Nolan begged again and again. Chen Ling snorted coldly and then let go of his hand. Nolan rubbed his hands and was about to cry, "Captain, you are too cruel, I am just practicing with you, you are really hard." Nolan gasped and rubbed his hands. The captain used to teach his team members this way. It seems that key is not a lesson to the team members. Chen Ling sat back on the sofa, not forgetting to steal a glance at old Mrs. Cheng. She found that Grandpa had taken off his reading glasses and put the book on the coffee table, and then she breathed a sigh of relief. "Don't read it again, otherwise she can use her feet to dig out Journey to the Center of the Earth on the spot." However, the Cheng family has never been one to give up easily. They were not discouraged at all and took turns to fight. From babbling, to kindergarten, elementary school, junior high school, university. Regardless of the glorious things or embarrassing things, they were all revealed. A piece of breakdance performed by Chen Ling on Children's Day when he was 7 years old was even played in public. In the end, Chen Ling almost collapsed. "Everyone, what do you want to do? If you continue like this, I really feel that it is better to stay on the desert island and not come back." "Stay on the desert island? Not coming back?" Before she finished speaking, Cheng Xiaomei's figure appeared at the door of the living room. "Cheng Xiaomei is out of school." As soon as Chen Ling saw her sister, she immediately shut up. The disappearance of Chen Ling left a deep psychological shadow on her sister. She rushed to and from school every day, fearing that her sister would suddenly disappear. As long as she didn't see her sister when she came in, she would panic. Chen Ling has been afraid to go out recently because he is afraid of aggravating his sister's psychological shadow. "What I said just now was actually heard by my sister. I'm just kidding," Chen Ling whispered. Cheng Xiaomei threw her schoolbag on the sofa, put her hands on her hips and said, "Can this be a joke? Sister, do you know how we spent this time? How worried are we?" Chen Ling quickly begged for mercy. Yes, it's my fault. My sister said the wrong thing. Xiaohuo, don't be angry. Cheng Xiaomei pouted, not intending to forgive her sister. "Sister, will you make your favorite honey chicken wings for a midnight snack?" Chen Ling held her sister's hand. Cheng Xiaomei said nothing. "How about adding a squid tentacle and fried pork belly, and a side of fried noodles with shredded pork?" Cheng Xiaomei reluctantly nodded. Then, okay. Chen Ling breathed a sigh of relief and rubbed his sister's hair. Go and drink some water. It's quite tiring after a day of classes. Wait, I'll make you a midnight snack right now. As soon as Chen Ling left the living room, Cheng Xiaomei turned to brother Cheng and asked, "What did you do to my sister?" The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 803. Ah, brother Cheng was stunned. My sister wouldn't just joke about something like this. You must have done something to annoy her, Cheng Xiaomei said firmly. You guys have agreed that you won't hide anything from me in the future. We didn't intend to hide it from you, wasn't it too late? Brother Cheng was quite pleased. Miss Cheng really had a delicate and clear heart. She deliberately kept Chen Ling away, firstly to make it easier to ask questions, and secondly to see Chen Ling's collapse and give Chen Ling a reason to avoid everyone. That's what happened. Brother Chen told little sister Chen one by one about Alexei's discovery and the attempts made by everyone today. It's a pity that she didn't respond at all. Brother Chen asked, "What about you? Do you have any ideas? If so, let's try with your sister. Hey, I feel like there is little hope." Cheng Xiaomei didn't even think about it for a moment and asked, "Have you tried that poem?" Poem? What poem? Mother Cheng, Father Cheng, and Brother Cheng were all stunned. Mr. Cheng suddenly clapped his hands and stood up from the sofa. That poem. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? Seeing that her parents and brother were still confused, Cheng Xiaomei explained, "It's the poem that appeared in my dream before, the poem that my grandpa recited when my sister's soul was united." Cheng's father, Cheng's mother, and brother Cheng's eyes all lit up. Key is a special thing. It can't be too common, and it has to be something special to the individual. Key it is best to only appear in safe places to avoid exposing buried memories. The poem Cheng Xiaomei mentioned was an ancient poem that once reunited Chen Ling's soul. This poem just meets all the necessary conditions to become a key. This poem is only known to the Cheng family. So, when this poem appeared, it was when the Cheng family was by Chen Ling's side. At that time, it must have been safe, and you could safely and boldly restore your memory. Let's go, let's try it now, Father Cheng said. Cheng Xiaomei shook her head. Let's not have too many people. What if it affects the effect? My sister will definitely accompany me for supper alone in a while. I will pick a suitable time and give it a try. After a while, Chen Ling's shout came from the restaurant, "Little sister, it's time for midnight snack." "Here we come." Cheng Xiaomei stood up and walked towards the restaurant. There were 3 plates on the table and a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. Chen Ling sat on the side of the table, looked at little sister Chen, and said distressedly, "You still have a pouty face, you have had late night snacks for several nights in a row, and you don't have any meat at all." Cheng Xiaomei didn't answer. She picked up the chopsticks and didn't pick up the food. Instead, she looked into her sister's eyes and called her, "Sister." "Huh?" Chen Ling looked at Cheng Xiaomei with a smile in his eyes. "Why don't you eat it? Is it not to your liking?" Cheng Xiaomei didn't answer. She read slowly. "I dreamed of returning to the poolside and searching hard, the aura was misty and without a trace." After reading the first sentence, Chen Ling's body completely froze. In the cycle of life and death, the world is like clouds and smoke. After reading the second sentence, Chen Ling's eyes became darker and darker. 7 emotions and 6 desires all become dreams, and a lifetime of prosperity is gone in a blink of an eye. At the end of the third sentence, the confusion between Chen Ling's eyebrows gradually disappeared. In the 7th year of Mianhu, the full moon reunites among the waves. After reading all 4 sentences, Chen Ling showed a disappointed expression on his face. As soon as Cheng Xiaomei finished speaking, Chen Ling grabbed her head suddenly and bent down. A few clusters of blue veins stretched on her forehead. Everyone who was hiding outside the restaurant and peeking was a little anxious when they saw Cheng Ling like this, and turned around to seek help from Dr. Ken. Dr. Ken had an expression of surprise on his face. At the same time, he raised his index finger and said, "Shhh, let's wait and see." Everyone continued to remain silent and looked at Cheng Ling together. Cheng Xiaomei nervously clutched her chopsticks and looked at her sister. The veins on Cheng Ling's forehead disappeared. She put down the hand holding her head and straightened her waist. Her expression changed. A kind of aura appeared in her eyes, so deep and tranquil, warm and bright. Cheng Xiaomei looked at her sister and asked softly, "Sister, do you still remember Zhang Qilan? The river rises, the river rises." Of course she remembered. That was her lover in both lives. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 804. Zhang Qilan sat cross-legged in front of the stone wall with his name engraved on it. Until the sun slowly set in the west. Zhang Qilan supported his knees with his hands and stood up. The ancestral temple was once the most feared place in his childhood. Now, he felt a kind of intimacy from the bottom of his heart here. He looked around and bowed deeply. After standing up, he said loudly, "Then, I'm leaving. I will come back to worship my ancestors in the future." The wind moved the trees, and the leaves inside and outside the ancestral temple rustled, as if saying goodbye to him. Zhang Qilan walked out of the ancestral hall with light steps, as if he was afraid of disturbing the dreams of his ancestors. He walked down the mountain along the dark path. At dusk, the crows returned to their nests, and the color of the sky kept changing. Standing next to the rented car, Zhang Qilan didn't know where to go. He was swept by the loneliness and solitude he had never experienced before. He was swept by the loneliness and solitude he had never experienced before. Otherwise, let's go to the Huling Temple to have a look. He thought. See what the temple that the villagers built for Cheng Ling brick by brick looks like, and see where Cheng Ling's soul once slept. Having made up his mind, Zhang Qilan started the car. The car drove steadily, and he saw the afterglow of the sunset slowly faded, and the lights on the roadside gradually lit up. The winding road continued to extend in front of him. His mood was completely different from when he came. I wonder what Cheng Ling felt when she recovered her memory. How did she remember her past life? Zhang Qilan guessed that everything must be related to the Huling Temple. If, one day, she can still remember himself, he must make her tell him everything that happened. Asterisk. Zhang Zhenqiu pinched his eyebrows. He spent too much time writing application documents for Cheng Ling team members, and his eyes were blurred. At this time, one of his mobile phones rang. Zhang Zhenqiu's eyes were still looking at the documents, and his pen kept writing on the documents. He picked up the phone with his left hand and glanced at it. The caller ID shows Cheng Boshan. Why did brother Cheng Ling call him? Did Cheng Ling have a new situation? Zhang Zhenqiu's heart skipped a beat and he quickly answered the phone. Hello, Boshan. What's wrong? The other party interrupted Zhang Zhenqiu's words. Uncle Zhang, it's me, Cheng Ling. Cheng Ling's brisk voice came from the other end of the phone. The pen in Zhang Zhenqiu's hand fell to the ground with a snap. Cheng Ling, you. Zhang Zhenqiu felt like a ball of cotton was stuffed in his throat and he couldn't speak anymore. Yes, Uncle Zhang, it's me. I think of you and everything. But I don't have time to explain to you now. I called to ask you, where is Qi Lan now? You should have sent someone to follow and protect him, right? Cheng Ling asked bluntly. Nolan told her that Zhang Qilan took the high-speed train to his hometown early this morning, saying that he was going to worship at the ancestral temple and stay there for a few days. She decided to go to his hometown to find him. She wanted to see him and couldn't wait a moment. Jang Genkuo happily punched the air. His daughter-in-law was going to find her son. Yes, yes, Jang Genkuo said, he is now in Quifeng, the northern suburb of Hongkangzhou, in our Jiang's ancestral hall to worship the ancestors. I guess he will leave after the worship. I'll leave for the airport first. Please tell me his dynamic schedule, and please don't tell him about my situation, Chen Ling said, I want to give him a surprise. Okay, okay. I won't tell you, I won't tell you. Then drive slowly on the road. Zhang Genkuo said with a smile. Thank you, Uncle Zhang, goodbye. Chen Ling simply hung up the phone. Zhang Genkuo quickly sent the address of the ancestral hall to Cheng Boshan's mobile phone, and contacted the guards who tracked and protected Zhang Qilan to report Zhang Qilan's itinerary to him in real time. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Genkuo clapped his hands and laughed happily. Ha 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 ha. Great. Chen Ling can become a family member again. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 805. After driving for nearly 2 hours, we arrived at the foot of the mountain at Huling Temple. There is a hotel at the foot of the mountain with parking spaces. Zhang Qilan drove the car into the parking lot, completed the parking procedures, and climbed up the mountain. The altitude of the North Peak is neither high nor short. For ordinary people, it would take at least an hour and a half to climb to the Huling Temple at the top. Huling Temple is not as famous as other temples in Hangzhou, and few foreign tourists go there, but it is very popular with locals, who say that making wishes is very effective. Zhang Qilan took his time and walked up the mountain step by step. It was already dark now, but the moon was very big and bright, and the ground lamps on the roadside illuminated the mountain road brightly. Hundreds of years ago, there were no roads built on the mountain, so it was not easy to go up the mountain. However, the people who were grateful to Chen Ling carried the dirt and rocks with difficulty, climbed to the top of the mountain step by step, and built a temple for her devoutly. It can be seen how powerful Chen Ling used to be and how popular he was with the people. Zhang Qilan has long legs and long steps. Even if he walks slowly, it only takes more than half an hour to climb to the top of the mountain. Deep in the woods, a temple can be vaguely seen. Red lanterns hang in front of the temple. Zhang Qilan walked along the road to the temple door and looked up. A 3-character plaque hangs directly above the temple door, Huling Temple. There is a big black lock on the door. There were footsteps nearby, and a young man with a flashlight came out from behind the temple. Zhang Qilan looked at the person who came. He was gentle and elegant, full of student spirit. Sir, are you here to visit Huling Temple? The boy asked politely. Yes, Zhang Qilan replied with a smile. Are you the staff responsible for taking care of the temple? That's right, the boy replied with a smile. I am a student studying at a nearby university, and I come here to take care of the spiritual temple at night and on weekends. Oh, part-time job. Zhang Qilan raised an eyebrow. Who hired you? He's an old man. We all call him Mr. Chen, the boy said. Then what are you responsible for? Are you tired? Zhang Qilan asked. It's very simple. I'm responsible for receiving tourists and taking care of the temple, and I'm not the only one. There are 5 of us working part-time, and we all live in the lounge at the back. At night we play games, eat some snacks, and go to bed after playing enough. After getting up in the morning, clean the yard, put on some incense, and then you can leave when the day shift staff arrives. And the part-time fee is very considerable. It is simply a magical job. After Zhang Qilan understood the situation, he turned to look at the gate of Huling Temple and asked, Can I go in and take a look now? The male college student smiled and nodded, Of course. He took out a key, opened the big iron lock on the temple door, hung the lock on the door handle, and opened the door with a creak. "Please come in dash." "Thanks." John Killen stepped towards the threshold, but the male college student stood outside the door and did not follow him. John Killen turned around. "Shall I go in and visit by myself?" "Are you afraid?" the boy asked. "If you are afraid, I can accompany you in. However, it is very safe here. Enshrined in the temple is a female general. The general is so upright that no demons or evil men from all directions dare to approach him." "Temples." The boy said it seriously, and John Killen couldn't help but laugh. "I'm not afraid of ghosts, I'm just saying, if you trust me so much, aren't you afraid that I'll steal something?" "Sir, he has an extraordinary bearing and is well dressed. He doesn't look like someone living in distress," the older boy said. Furthermore, Mr. Cheng said that those who come to Huling Temple are all destined people. If the destined person is short of money, he must have encountered difficulties in life, so he can take whatever food and drinks are on the table at Huling Temple. Eat. Also, the money in the merit box in the main hall can be used as you wish. The general will be very happy if he can help people in need, and he will never blame you." John Killen nodded. "Mr. Cheng is really grand. I understand, thank you, please go back and rest." "Okay," the boy's eyes were bright, "just close the door when you leave. I will come over to patrol and lock it before going to bed. If you need any help, please ring the bell in the hall. We will come." "I understand, thank you." John Killen thanked him politely. The college student waved his hands and walked happily back to the lounge at the back to rest. John Killen walked into the courtyard. Several flower beds were built in the yard, and there were also 3 or 5 floor lamps standing scattered here and there. The floor lamps were 30 centimeters high from the ground and glowed with dim light. The bases of the lamps were carved from stone. They were consistent with the architectural style of the temple and looked elegant and elegant. Warm. On the front is the main hall, with lights on and a faint smell of incense lingering in the air. The clay sculpture that was originally enshrined disappeared, and was replaced by a brand new stone statue that was half a man tall. The statue was wearing armor, a helmet, and holding a broad-backed machete. The statue's facial features have sharp angles and are extraordinarily heroic. You can vaguely see the outline of Chen Ling. It is estimated that Mr. Cheng asked someone to carve it. John Killen took out a handful of banknotes from his pocket and threw them into the merit box. He then twisted 3 sticks of incense from the altar table next to him, lit it with a lighter on the desk, knelt respectfully on the futon, and bowed to the stone sculpture. Bow 3 times and then insert the incense stick into the incense burner. Then, he sat cross-legged on the futon and faced the statue silently. "Ling, I really miss you. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment." Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 806. John Killen's words echoed in the empty hall. The stone statue looked at him speechlessly and remained silent. John Killen's eyes were slightly moist. At this moment, his missing Chen Ling reached its peak. Chen Ling really went through too much suffering. Her thin shoulders shouldered the heavy burden of defending her home and country. No matter what difficulties she faced, she was always so full of strength and fighting spirit. When facing the enemy, she was so ruthless and full of murderous intent. Day after day, year after year. She has a beautiful soul, gentle, strong, brave, and kind. Even if all the beautiful adjectives in the world are applied to her, it is not an exaggeration. Chen Ling's great love for his country is as deep as the sea, never drying up or fading. She has an all-embracing attitude and can ignore all obstacles when facing enemies. Chen Ling's little love for him is like a mountain peak standing silently between heaven and earth. When it is shy, it hides behind the clouds. When it is passionate, flowers bloom all over the mountains and plains. John Killen's eyelashes trembled slightly and she shouted in her heart. John Killen, what virtues and abilities are you capable of becoming her special case, standing by her side, worthy of her love? And he loved Chen Ling before he recovered his past life memories. That kind of love is a man's appreciation for a woman, the love that wants to be close to her, wants to occupy her alone, and wants to spend a lifetime with her hand in hand. Now, he sees her as another part of his soul. His love for her transcends physical love and desire. It is a more profound spiritual fit that is not limited by time and space. It is an eternal relationship that will not be changed. But, why does fate want to play tricks on them? They finally crossed hundreds of years, crossed thousands of rivers and mountains, and came together again. Only Chen Ling remembered everything, but he knew nothing about everything that happened to her. Now, he finally remembered everything, but she didn't remember herself. Memories flashed through my mind. The playful and cute Chen Ling, the bright and lively Chen Ling, the wise and sharp Chen Ling, the seductive and bright Chen Ling. John Killen, who was sitting on the futon, bent his knees, hugged himself tightly, and buried his head between his arms. He wanted to hold her. Hug her tightly, tell her how much you miss her, tell her how much you love her, tell her that you can't live without her in this life and eternity. Only in this way can his heavy longing be relieved slightly. So lonely. The mountain breeze blew gently on John Killen's back, as if comforting him. I don't know how long it took, but suddenly, light footsteps came from outside. John Killen rubbed the corner of his eyes and wiped away the little moisture. Is that the enthusiastic part-time college student who is worried and comes over to check on himself? The footsteps stopped outside the main hall. John Killen took a breath and made sure his expression returned to normal before standing up and turning around. John Killen's polite smile was frozen on his face. Standing outside the hall was not a part-time male college student, but Chen Ling. Chen Ling. The bright and soft moonlight sprinkled all over her body. She stood there, with the starry sky behind her, as beautiful as a dream. John Killen's heart skipped several beats. He couldn't believe his eyes, couldn't believe that it was Chen Ling. Are you dreaming at this moment? Or is he hallucinating because he misses her so much? Chen Ling looked at John Killen, his eyes widened and his mouth opened slightly, looking shocked. Chen Ling smiled cutely and called him crisply, "Brother Lan." John Killen felt that his chest was about to explode. She called herself. She called herself. Even if it was a dream, even if it was a dream, he would hold her tight. John Killen rushed out of the hall. Because his legs were stiff from sitting for too long, and because he was too impatient, he almost tripped when he crossed the threshold. He almost staggered up to Chen Ling, only one step away. He no longer stepped forward, but looked her up and down. Her short hair was slightly raised by the mountain breeze, thousands of stars fell into her eyes, her lips were slightly raised, and the exposed teeth were extremely white against the honey-colored skin. The eyebrows are vivid, lively, and cute, so real. John Killen held his breath and reached out to take her into his arms. She was much thinner than before, with protruding butterfly bones and clear ribs under her palms. The person in my arms is so warm and real. John Killen was so fragile at the moment, he almost didn't dare to think that all of this was really happening. Ling Mei. John Killen hugged her so tightly that he almost melted her into his own flesh and blood. Chen Ling's body stiffened. He calls himself spiritual sister? That was General Zheng Yian's private nickname for himself. Could it be that he remembered what happened in the past? Sister Ling, I will never leave you again, I miss you so much. John Killen whispered, do you know, I have been looking for you for more than 800 years. Before General Ling died, John Killen followed her in the form of a ghost. Chen Ling couldn't believe her ears. John Killen really remembered everything in the past? He said that he had been looking for him for more than 800 years. What did he mean? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 807. Chen Ling was shocked physically and mentally. She pushed John Killen but did not push him away. Her face was pressed against his chest. She spoke into his chest, her voice sounding muffled, "Brother Lan, do you know what happened? Could it be that, what happened in the ancestral temple?" John Killen let go of his hand, looked at Chen Ling, and asked stupidly, "Are you real now? Or am I imagining it?" Seeing him like this, Chen Ling reached out and pinched the flesh on his waist and twisted it hard. John Killen's eyes lit up instantly. "Ah! It hurts. It's not a dream, it's not a dream." Before Chen Ling could say anything, he was hugged by him again. "Ling Ling Mei, I want to see you so much. I have so many questions that I want to ask you. Tell me, how did you know that I was killed by? Tell me, in the continuous war, how did you lead a group of villagers who only know how to grow crops to win one beautiful victory after another? Tell me, how many injuries have you received? Where are they? Does it hurt? Tell me, why don't you hate me? Don't you hate me for leaving you alone and facing everything terrible? Tell me, what did those gangsters from the Freemasonry do to you to make you lose your memory? They said you received an electric shock to the head. Tell me." John Killen couldn't speak anymore. 1, 2, or 3 tears fell on Chen Ling's short hair. Chen Ling felt his chest rising and falling. "Brother Lan, are you crying?" Chen Ling's heartbeat trembled. She suddenly bent her knees and broke away from his arms. Then she took a step back and looked at John Killen. "He is crying." His eyelashes, as long as crow feathers, trembled slightly, and the ends of his eyes were red and moist, which was a cry of sadness and self-blame. "Brother Lan, tell me, why are you sad?" Tears were dripping down his cheeks. Chen Ling has seen many people cry. But no one's tears could shock her so much. John Killen's nasal voice was thick and his voice was hoarse. "I am always not by your side. I always leave you alone, facing the wind and rain, facing the sword, facing the darkness." Chen Ling hooked her hands around the back of John Killen's neck, stood on tiptoes, kissed his eyes, and said softly, "Brother Lan, I am never alone. You've always been with me. It's just that you don't know. It's you who made me know this world, understand this world, and fall in love with this world. It was you who took the trouble to teach me how to read and write, teach me kung fu, teach me the art of war, and teach me how to behave in the world. It's you who cares about me, and protects me from wind and rain. It's you who is always thinking of me, even when I'm away on the battlefield. As long as I like to eat, you will tell me that you don't like it and give it all to me. As long as you come to me, you will always bring all kinds of snacks. Sometimes it's a small jelly bean, sometimes it's a piece of pancake filled with meat sauce. You never let me down. You know that I hate female celebrities, I hate cooking, and I hate cleaning, so you shouldered the burden and even scolded those who criticized me in person. You tell me, people stand in the world for themselves and for their beliefs. Don't use your beauty to please others, don't care about other people's praise, and just be yourself. You gave me the courage to face everything. You make me a better version of myself. You are the driving force that supports me to go on and live. You wrapped me up with the gentlest love, even in the difficult years later, you were always there. I know you are there. So, I am not afraid. I am not alone. I am not in pain. The things you taught me have allowed me to save many, many people. The faith you passed on to me has always been buried in my heart and supported me. Brother Lan, how can you say you'll leave me alone?" The gentle evening breeze gently blew Chen Ling's short hair and blew through John Killen's misty eyes. The last bit of distance between souls disappeared, their souls, crossing thousands of rivers and mountains, finally touched each other. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 808. Chen Ling stepped forward and pulled him into his arms. The breathing and heartbeats of the two people gradually became in sync, and their shadows merged into one. At this moment, only each other was left in their world, and no one or thing could interfere with them. The two hugged each other in silence for a long time. Chen Ling patted John Killen's back gently and said softly, "Brother Lan, let's go down the mountain and find a place to have a good chat." Yes. John Killen kissed the top of Chen Ling's head, rubbed her short hair, and then let go. The two looked at each other for a moment and laughed. Chen Ling walked out of the temple gate first. John Killen faced the stone statue, clasped his hands and bowed very devoutly. Then he walked out of the door with his long legs. He gently pulled the two black paint doors shut and locked them. Chen Ling naturally took his hand, but suddenly noticed something in John Killen's palm. She grabbed his hand and turned his palm over. In his broad palm, there lay quietly a small plastic packaging bag. It's orange candy. This person always has snacks hidden on him. Chen Ling twisted the candy, tore open the package, put the sweet and sour candy into his mouth, took John Killen's hand again, and said with a smile, "Let's go, Squirrel Lan." Squirrel Lan. John Killen burst into laughter. He held Chen Ling's hand tightly. The two of them went down the mountain together under the moonlight. This is destined to be a long sleepless night. They have too many questions they want to ask each other, and too many things they want to talk to each other. The road ahead is also long and full of difficulties and obstacles. The path chosen by Chen Ling and John Killen is destined to not be smooth sailing. China is getting stronger and stronger, and the enemies are eyeing them and will not give up any opportunity to suppress and exploit China. They just want to see China decline or even perish. As long as the enemy is around, Chen Ling and John Killen will not stop. The future is full of crises and uncertainties. But there is only one thing that Chen Ling and John Killen can be sure of. No matter how difficult the road ahead is, they are not alone. They have each other. They are the best comrades who advance and retreat together on the long road of life. They encourage each other, support each other, cooperate with each other, and help each other. They were holding hands and heart to heart. No one can separate the two. End of text. Right on the back. The inspiration for this book began when I climbed Baiwang Mountain in Beijing. There is a temple on the top of the mountain, which enshrines the statue of Tai Junshi. Standing outside, looking at the white-haired female General Tai Junshi, inspiration suddenly came to her. Then, the idea of writing such a story came up. Heroes in the world are regardless of age, origin, and gender. After returning home, I systematically reviewed literary works such as Generals of the Yang family, Female Generals of the Yang family, Mu Guiying and so on, and wrote an outline. Over the next 6 months or so, I began to immerse myself in writing this novel. Unfortunately, I only write novels as a part-time person. There are many things in life, the update time is very unstable, and I am under a lot of pressure. It is you lovely readers, who constantly encourage me in the background, remind me to update, give me rewards, give me suggestions, and give me affirmation, so that I can persist in finishing writing. Thank you all. Gratitude is in the heart, not in empty words. The novel is not perfect. In the later stage, I will modify it little by little, add some pictures, and modify some writing structures. Of course, the main line will not be changed. I would like to defend myself a few words. The environment for writing novels is often very difficult. Or be outdoors in the scorching sun with a temperature of over 40 degrees Celsius, or be on the streets in freezing temperatures of -10 degrees Celsius, or be trudging home in the pouring rain, taking a hasty hot shower and then coding. or in the heavy snow, you rub your hands, stomp your feet, breathe, and type on your phone. Sometimes, on a deserted beach, sometimes, on a mountain top where no one can see anything, sometimes, in a deserted mountain where mosquitoes are rampant. And at any time of the day, I might be typing. Whether it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, or 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes, when I dream about the plot of a novel while sleeping, I quickly grab my phone and record the inspiration in my dream. I also experienced several illnesses, high fever, vomiting, lethargy, pain. There are inevitably some parts of the novel where the word count is too low or the writing is not smooth enough. I will revise it bit by bit when I have time. Thank you all for your tolerance and understanding. I am very, very happy to meet you, and thank you for accompanying Chen Lingjiang, Kilin, and the others on such a long journey, and accompanying me on such a long journey. Love you guys. See you in the extra episode. If you have any people or plots you want to watch, you can leave me a message. I will read them all, then select some and write extras. My friend said, your extras may need to be written in 1,000,000 words. Next spring, a new article will be published. I have a lot of ideas, and I will ask for your opinions when the time comes. For the next book, I will be more serious, work harder, study hard, improve my writing skills, and strive to be worthy of your praise and love. Thanks. Bow.